Hey girl, it's Ryan Morel, and girl, in today's video we will be talking about how to prepare for online classes. Dun dun dun! In today's video, I will be sharing with you some things that I think you can do, some things that I think you can prepare in order to make your transition to online classes as smooth as possible. By the way, comment down below when your online classes start, because mine actually got moved. My classes were supposed to start the 27th of this month, but it got moved to September 2, which honestly makes me a little sad because I am very bored at home, so I kind of wanted classes to start already. So let me know if your classes got moved, when your official first day is, if it already started. Girl, let me know. And by the way, I do have an ongoing back to school giveaway. It's about to end, so if you haven't joined, I'll have that video linked down below, or just click this card over here. Okay, so let's get started and talk about how to prepare, how to ready yourselves for this coming school year. Number one is to set up and organize your digital space. Everything we do for school is going to be online, it's going to be digital, so it is very, very important to set up our digital spaces. You just have to decide how you plan on organizing all your papers, all your presentations, basically everything you're going to do, everything you're going to make this coming school year. To me, this is extra important now that classes are online, because I know I can already foresee the hundreds of documents, the hundreds of presentations, Google Slides. So it is so important to come up with an organization system and have that set up before classes even start. So I actually made a whole digital organization video where I talked about how I organize all my digital files on my laptop, in my hard drives, and on Google Drive. So if you want a more in-depth explanation of that, I'll have that video linked down below, or just click this card over here. But essentially for Google Drive, I'm going to focus on Google Drive, since I'm hoping and I'm guessing that a lot of us will be picking that as our digital space. The first thing that I do is create a folder for this semester. So for example, for me, I'm going to make a folder that says Junior First Semester. And then inside that folder, I make 4 different folders. First will be graded work, second will be drafts, third would be notes, and fourth would be presentations. So that's my main organization system. And actually this is fine, like the 4 folder system is fine, but if you want to be a little bit more extra and a little bit more organized, you can actually make folders inside each of these 4 for each of your classes. So basically, for example, inside graded work, you make a folder per class. And I think that most of us have access to our syllabus already, so we already know what classes we're going to take this semester, so just make a folder per class. And I definitely suggest that you prepare your organization system, you set it up before classes start, because when classes start, girl, it is gonna be chaotic. Do not copy me. I made that mistake of pushing it back, of procrastinating my Google Drive organization, because I actually only set up my Google Drive organization system last semester. So second semester of sophomore year. By that time, I already had like hundreds of documents in my Google Drive that just weren't sorted, weren't organized. So it literally took me hours just to organize everything, to put everything in the respective folder, and it was a lot. It was a hassle for sure. So I definitely recommend that you make it now, because it'll just be so much easier and you will thank yourself later. I promise you. Number 2, we are still staying in the digital space, the digital sphere, and that is to set up your Google Calendar. I'm not gonna lie, I used to be very anti-Google Calendar just because it really intimidated me, but girl, Google Calendar has been my best friend this quarantine. Like, I literally would have missed so many meetings, so many deadlines, if not for Google Calendar. Definitely the feature that made me fall in love with Google Calendar, and the reason why I know that I'll probably use it forever now, is that it has a feature where it emails you every single day what your schedule is, which has been a lifesaver for me this quarantine, and I actually only discovered this feature this quarantine. Basically, you can set it so that every single day it emails you what things you have to do, what classes you have, basically everything that's on your calendar for that day. So every 6 a.m. they send me an email with what I have to do for the day, which is just great, because at least the moment I wake up, I go to my email and I check what things I have to do that day, which is so helpful, and it really, really, really ensures that you do not miss a deadline, that you do not miss a class. So definitely recommend that you take advantage of that feature. Hey guys, Editing Raya here, and I just want to quickly share how I decided to set up my Google Calendar because I decided to change it. So while filming, I actually shared that I plan to make one calendar per class, but I decided recently that a more efficient system would be to make a calendar per type of deadline or schedule. So I decided to make 5 calendars: class for all my classes, assessments for quizzes and tests, homework for smaller deadlines, papers, presentations, and general for general school reminders. This way, the calendars and the colors I assign to them could also be sort of like a signal for importance or priority. So like when I look at my calendar and I see a dark pink, I know that that's an assessment coming up, so I probably need to start preparing for that. So yeah, that's my new system. Now on to the next tip. Now we're moving on from our digital space to our physical space. So just like we had to set up and organize our digital space, we have to do the same for our physical space. And I recommend that once you find a workspace, you stick to that. You know, don't change your workspace every other day, just so that when your brain sees that space, it knows, okay, once we're here, once we're seated at this desk, it's time to work. And also, since, you know, classes are online, it is way harder to separate work and play or work and relaxation. So mentally, in my opinion, it's way more difficult to transition from work mode to relaxing mode just because you are literally in the exact same space. So what we can do to make that transition easier for us is to separate the physical spaces where we do both. So what that means is you have to really be strict with yourself, that your workspace is for work, and that'll just make it easier for you to separate the two, to mentally be able to turn work on and off when you enter these spaces. So when deciding where you want your workspace to be, there are 2 things you need to consider. Number 1, it has to be a place where you're able to focus. And number 2, it has to be a place where you're able to stay for long periods of time. Once you've picked a workspace, the next thing you should do is ensure that everything that you could possibly need for online classes are within arm's reach. Because the last thing you'd want is to panic because you're like, oh my gosh, my laptop's at 1%, but my charger is like in the 3rd floor. So make sure that everything you could possibly need is in that workspace. And last tip for your workspace is to declutter. And I suggest that you declutter, that you clean every day after every single class, just because it'll be so much more appealing to you and you'll be so much more motivated to actually go to that desk and study and begin online classes if it is clean. Number 4, once you get your schedule for this semester, a tip to get accustomed to it, a tip to make the transition from a summer schedule to an online class schedule smoother is to adapt that schedule at least 2 weeks before your classes actually start. So for example, you get your schedule and you're like, okay, my first class is from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Then I have classes from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Try to adapt that schedule way before online classes. Start waking up at 6:30 a.m. Start eating your lunch earlier. And this will allow you to adjust to your schedule without all the academic pressure. Because if you wait for classes to start to adjust to that schedule, it's going to be way harder for you because your body's adjusting to the different times while your mind is like overloaded with all this academic stress. But if you again adjust way before, at least that's one less thing to worry about. So for me, I'm definitely doing this for sure once I've enlisted and once I get my schedule, because I have become accustomed to taking multiple naps a day. Like literally, if I miss a nap, I just become so groggy and so tired and so like out of it. So I know that if I do not allow my body to adjust to taking no naps, I'm probably gonna fall asleep in class. So that's definitely something that I suggest you do as well. Okay, so yeah, those are all the things that I think you can do to prepare for online classes to help your transition to online classes be as smooth as possible. If you have any tips, let me know. I would love to hear them. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you this Saturday 2 p.m. Bye girl!